Welcome back to Reap the Harvest, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Tack and Pat Hilton in the mix. Matt is at a coffee shop in Michigan today. There's music blaring and espressos being made, but getting the job done. It is his daughter's birthday today. Which daughter?
Happy birthday, Melina. My baby girl, my middle child.
Melina's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Melina. Daddy's out making things happen today in Michigan, looking at some assets. What's on the agenda for the asset production?
I'm out here. I actually have to head over to the west side. We're putting a new retail asset out there, and we're going to be putting some new tenants in there. And I have a pretty clever idea. I actually like my idea. We're putting a beauty bar together, so it's 19,000 square feet. But we're putting so we have in one of our stretches. I'm a big believer in co-retailing. I think co-retailing is going to be the next wave of kind of the retail space. I think a lot of people are going to be like merging together. And actually, here right now where I'm at, it's an incubator. It's called Rocket Lab. It's in Jackson, Michigan. It's really, really cool. I actually know one of the owners and original founders of the Rocket Lab, but it's an incubator for startup businesses. And they like almost, for lack of better terms, they almost Airbnb spaces. So they have little hoteling spaces. And then they also have like different, I guess you call partitions. They're almost like nearly like mobile. They're pretty cool. But it allows people to like economically kind of like start up a business. So like be incubators, but then also collaborate with other incubators. And they're essentially think tanks of like, just grooming talent. Because this area specifically is near the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, a lot of engineers. So there's a lot of technology and just various things coming out. This is just a lot of raw talent in that, in the Generation Z, millennial crowds that are really deep thinkers and kind of pushing the needle forward as far as overall technology. So this space allows incubators to exist, but then also collaborate with other individuals so that they all can, the old adage, rising tides lifts all boats. And this is exactly it. So anyways, getting back to our asset in Granville, Michigan, is pretty cool because it's 19,000 square feet, but COVID obviously has hit times pretty hard. And what my idea was, we have kind of a beauty, we have one of our anchor tenants right now, which we're in the process of kind of transitioning them within the space, but it's a beauty salon. And I just don't think long-term that they should be the anchor tenant. So I set up a meeting with them. We're going to transition them down. But then we also had a new potential tenant come in that said, hey, I want to do brows. And one of our other tenants is a nail studio. And I'm like, dude, why wouldn't you merge together and be like almost positioned in one door and kind of have a walk-through space, which you have a brow bar, a nail bar, and a hair studio all in one space. And so I'm willing to give them a little bit of tenant improvement. We call that TI. So I'm giving them, I'm going to negotiate with them and give them a little TI as far as the space build out, so that they could have a nail bar. They can have a brand new nail bar. This lady has kind of an old vintage space right now. And I was like, dude, I'll give you a brand new space if you move in with the hair salon and the brow bar. So we can create a really cool vibe for you, but then you have a beauty section all consolidated together, and it would be like co-retailing, right? I'll give them a little bit of subsidize on their rate because we do a triple net lease structure, and we'll ultimately just kind of bring that together so that it would be a really good look for the overall complex.
Oh, so anyways, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so co-retailing is 100% going to be the next wave of retail. People are going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to be, held liable for an entire lease. How about we start co-retailing together? I don't think retail is definitely going to go all the way, but I think people are going to think obviously a little bit more in scarcity mindset of like, how can I minimize my exposure, and how do I do that? Well, I can co-retail with somebody else, and we already have a gym doing that at our space. Somebody I actually had to take a little bit of a discount on the rent because I wanted to occupy the space. It would have been a pretty big footprint that we would have lost. So what I did was I had somebody come in and they're co-retailing that space together. One guy took over the master lease. So anyways, that's where, retail I think is going to be going. So I'm setting up a meeting and we're going to be doing stuff like that. But it's really, I think, Momentum Monday, I guess the main topic is, how can we be creative, proactive thinkers coming into the next wave of like a post-COVID world, right? What does real estate look like? How can we be creative in the sense of like, hey, how, beginning with the end in mind, how do we really like keep people involved? And, I was listening to, I get a well thought of knowledge out of podcast. Obviously we're producing one right now, but it's, even in the layers of the multifamily world, and then even in the layers of the retail world, it's like, how can you be sensible in your approach? And one of the things that we've done specifically in the multifamily perspective is we've transitioned from really distinctly separating our operational expenditures with our capital expenditures. And in that same with the real estate or the retail space as well, you need a solid guy that's going to come in from a contracting perspective that just knows contracting, and then you also need a solid guy in the property management space. So we distinctly separate those two on the books and in talent basis because we never want those to really like commingle because it ultimately sets us back. So property management has been is a key figure, and then also capital expenditure, dealing with the general contractor of heavy value adds, doing heavy turns is also instrumental. So that's just one way that we've been very clear on the books with that we have to clear to our systems and our strategy of how we're going to progress and move forward, and then we. I don't think you necessarily call that creative, but like sticking to your systems is also another thing. And specifically for the retail space, we're going to have to get pretty creative, and that's just one of the creative ways that I've come up with as far as intermingling retailers and saying, hey, how can you come together and mitigate your exposure? But I'll give you a really cool space, and it's gonna be a win-win.
Well, I think it's important to remember the creative is definitely true. So I definitely agree with that. I've seen friends that are, bartenders or whatever that have been out of work, and they got little trailer setups and built like a bar out of the trailer, and like they're doing private parties and stuff now. And then there's always a way to kind of like adapt your skill to how things are shifting. You just have to figure out what's the solution.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so people don't want to take head on the entire bill. Well, how can I make this work it's almost like a roommate scenario at that point.
That's exactly right. It's like, how do you mitigate your exposure? Bring it on. Bring it on a roommate. I love that.
Well, it's true. And then it's like, especially with live events, I've done live events for a long, long time, but like now with this whole thing happening, we can do events just like this. We can do meetings, webinars, all that through just while people are homeschooling the kids, they can hop on a webinar and learn something every week from a group that they're in. So, making sure that that's available for people is as a tech person or as a marketing guy or as an entertainer, you got to make yourself available to what people are currently doing rather than trying to force the old way on people, because sometimes old ways are old ways.
For sure. I don't think, because I was actually talking with a young lady. She was babysitting for us. I took my wife out this weekend, and but I talked with her for a minute. I was like, "Oh, how's school going? How's this and that?" And she brought up a really good point. In regards to school, I think school is going to take a little bit different approach, long term, and I think there is going to be more online schooling, but I think one thing with like live events in particular, and then also with like school in general. I don't think necessarily the aspect of school or the aspect of live events is ever going to go away, because you always need the interpersonal, right? The interpersonal is something that is like you're tangibly missed, like the presence of people, because albeit like, I love hopping on this with you. It's really cool to be together, and there's a certain energy that is emitted from that, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know if you listen to Jay Shetty at all, but the gamma waves.
The monk guy, right?
Yeah, the monk guy. Think like a monk. But those are it's just like the presence of people is so big. We're super relational, right?
There's an energy there for sure.
The presence of people creates that energy. That's why people like coffee houses, incubators, just collaboration. We're people that are meant to be together and meant to build relationships. So there's and that's where the creative comes out, right? That's what's so cool in particular about Zoom is that that you still see somebody, and there's an element of energy to that. But ultimately, it's I think what it comes out, the interpersonal is missed, even when you're like groupings or I went to probably, I don't know how many I went to last year, probably at least 7 or 8 live events last year. And, that is missed through we're already in September. Totally. This is insane. Like how did 2020 go by so far? I'm talking about last year as if it was like a couple months ago.
Almost over. Right.
It's literally 2020 is almost over. But I'll tell you what, 2020 has been one of the best years of my life.
Me too.
2020. It's been phenomenal. It's been amazing. And I guess but I also have to be empathetic. It's also been some of the roughest years for people too. We're meant to be interpersonal, relational, and that's where the creative comes out. And I think we should, almost hold technology accountable for that as well. Because, me, I'm a big believer in the fact that, the social dilemma is a real thing. And we can be, relational on Facebook, but it's not until you really meet people that you experience that type of energy. And energy is just so key to me. It's so key in the way, I move on a daily basis, and the energy that I emit to my children, to my wife, most importantly, my wife, are also important. And that is the interpersonal, the interrelational piece that is, I think, missed by many because it's so, we're so confined right now. So I challenge people though, like be creative, be creative how you're interacting with people. Definitely don't think of these times as a setback. How is it a stepping stone to level up? I think that's something we always talk about. How do we level up? But, it's all about
find a solution. You got to find a solution.
Yeah. And it necessarily doesn't always have to be the right solution, at the end of the day, right? It doesn't have to be. Like sometimes it's just movement, movement, quality movement creates that level of creativity. So, yeah.
I dig it, dude. I dig it.
Dude, I also encourage, and I kind of a last note, and I know I hit on this, but I honestly love it. One of my business partners, dude, he was like, he has this, every time I've talked to him over the past couple of weeks, because we haven't done great wholesaling wise. It's been a little of a struggle. I mean, we've done great in other areas. We have a decent amount of wholesales coming through and various things. And I've just been dealing with a couple other things. A couple of our investment partners have been, oh my gosh, and like sometimes you get some investment. I'll tell you what, not all good money, not all money's good money. So there's a couple that you have chatter. They just want to know everything that's going on, and we have continual progress. Really, really good things are going on, but it's tough when you get people like wanting to know every single detail of what's going on. Sometimes you just got to move. But I'll tell you what. Told my business partner, he says every time I talk to him for the past like week and a half, he's like, same shit, different toilet. You know what I mean? And that's so negative to me. So I'm like, dude. So I tell him today, I'm like, I text him, I'm like, dude, today is gonna be a great day. Today's gonna be a great day, brother. And I tell him, I'm like, today's gonna be a great day. So immediately calls me up. He's like, how many contracts do we have? And dude, I was like, we don't have any contracts right now, but I'll tell you what, today's gonna be a great day. But I'll tell you, it's just like you exude that type of energy. You admit that, you tell yourself that, man. All you can do is you're forced to smile, right? I try
Yeah,
to
it comes
smile.
around. It comes
Yeah,
around.
so it's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. So,
it is.
anyways, that's what I got. Be creative, man. Keep movement, keep movement, keep movement, and be creative. Come
I
up with
love it,
solutions.
man. I love it. Well, you get yourself a coffee, sir, and good luck out there in Michigan this week, and we'll
Yeah,
rock soon.
all right, brother. Good talking to you. Peace,
Yes,
everyone.
sir.